Hello， 大家好，我是利恩。我们在之前一部影片呢，有特别介绍过1974年的罗素韦德案了。那如果还不是很清楚罗素韦德案是什么的观众朋友呢，非常欢迎可以再去那部影片重新的来了解。那今天呢，主要是要来跟大家分享一个跟罗素韦德案非常相关的一个集会游行，那就是美国从1974年之后开始呢，每一年一度呢，都会在华盛顿特区，也就是 DC 呢展开的 March for Life 为生命游行集会活动。这个集会活动呢，听名字就知道那完全是想要跟罗素韦德案来打擂台啦。好，简单讲，它的目的是在反对堕胎，支持生命权。特别有趣的是，经2024年11月的总统大选，共和党人以唐纳川普当选以来，并且在参众议会都取得了全面优势性的胜利之后呢，那这一次特别由美国总统川普跟副总统 J.D. Vance 还有众议院的议长 Mike Johnson 呢，都一起对这次集会发表了公开的谈话。那只有川普呢，他是采用在白宫录影的方式来跟这次游行的人们表达了支持与鼓励之意。那为什么共和党人那么的反堕胎？从某个角度来讲，其实堕胎看似是一个很个人只关系到母亲或说多一点跟父亲有关的事情嘛。为什么美国仍然有这么多人宁可走上街头，也要支持捍卫所谓的那未出生的婴儿权利呢？我们想一想也不能保证你支持的这些婴儿出生，这些婴儿长大之后就一定会投票给共和党嘛，对吧？那这个选票还要养个20年，又没有一个保证是一定会拿得到。但是如果说像左派一样支持堕胎，某种程度上不就可以拿到更多主张身体自主 My Body My Choice 的妇女选票吗？那如果不是为了选票的因素，甚至可能会得罪了许多的 My Body My Choice 的妇女团体的话，那为什么右派保守主义这边还这么的反堕胎呢？如果纯粹只是交由每个人自己照你自己的喜好选择，不就好了吗？你喜欢孩子的，你就去生你的孩子那何必管人家不喜欢孩子的人呢？所以你会发现到一个有趣的点，就是反堕胎这个议题上面，如果用结果或说功利主义来讲，对于主张反堕胎的人究竟得到了什么好处？你自己的孩子你不堕，那你反对人家堕，人家的孩子也不会因为你反对了就叫你一声干妈或叫你一声干爹的，对吧？20年了，你就别喊过我吧。让我们好好重新想一想这个问题。这对于他们自己而言，可以说是吃力不讨好，白开心。到还那么的愿意为着这些所谓未诞生的婴儿这样的极力发声呢？今天就让我们好好的一起来看看这一场别具特色，也在美国的公民议题上别具争议的 March for Life 为生命游行的集会吧。Let's go。
堕胎合法化议题在美国几乎是看不到终点的争议。为强调生命价值，为反堕胎立场发声，美国华府上万人走上街头举行生命大游行，参与者不乏有坚持生下缺陷儿的母亲。游行外围则有白人民族主义团体高举强大的家庭成就强大的国家旗帜，力挺反堕胎权。
Life is the most important thing we have, and there's a big group of people out here that believe that also.
Many of us have faced unwanted pregnancies or situations where doctors told us to abort our babies because they might have birth defects. And I'm here to say that you will never regret having a baby. You will probably regret having an abortion. But all life is beautiful and all life is valuable.
来自乌克兰的神父也加入这场游行发声，除了感叹不少孩童和妇女死在俄罗斯的武器下，也盼各界对于生命更加重视并给予保护。另外，针对遭性侵或乱伦怀孕的状况，参与游行民众也提出不同的看法。
Aborting the baby that comes from a rape or incest or something like that honestly punishes the baby for somebody else's crime. And I understand not wanting to necessarily be in a position to raise that baby yourself if you're in that circumstance, but there are so many of us that would be happy to adopt and to come alongside you and support you. But it's all about, in those situations, having the best quality medical care, behavioral health, emotional care, and therapy and healing.
Need to say to all that life, these babies, is really matter that we need to defend.
事实上，目前美国位于南部和中西部的多数州几乎都已全面禁止堕胎或严格限制堕胎。位于沿海地区的若干州则采取行动保护堕胎。美国总统川普在第一任期内曾在生命大游行中演说，成为首位参加大游行的在任总统。本届游行，他人虽在加州视察野火灾情，但仍透过预录影片参与。副总统范斯也到场上台演说，主办方初估多达15万民众参与力挺。
Hello to everyone at the March for Life. It's a pleasure to speak to you from the beautiful Oval Office. That's where we are right now, the magnificent Oval Office. And thank you for turning out once again to show your extraordinary love and compassion for the unborn. Each year, Americans of every age, color, and background travel to our nation's capital by the tens of thousands to stand up for precious little babies who cannot stand up for themselves. I am proud to be the first president ever to have joined you in person. As you know, this annual march started 52 years ago on the first anniversary of the disastrous ruling known as Roe v. Wade. That unconstitutional decision took power away from the states and the voters, kicking off 50 years of division and anger. But thanks to your tireless work and devotion across 5 decades, that historic wrong was set right 3 years ago. I was so proud to be a participant. 6 courageous justices of the Supreme Court of the United States returned the issue to the state legislatures and to the people where it belongs. It became a vote of the people. In my second term, we will again stand proudly for families and for life. We will protect the historic gains we have made and stop the radical Democrat push for a federal right to unlimited abortion on demand up to the moment of birth and even after birth. Think of that, after birth. And some people want that. Can you believe it? We will work to offer a loving hand to new mothers and young families, and we will support adoption and foster care. We will protect women and vulnerable children. Under my leadership, a reformed Department of Justice will finally investigate the radical left attacks on churches and crisis pregnancy centers, and we will bring perpetrators to justice. We will get them to justice one way or the other. I will also end the weaponization of law enforcement against Americans of faith, and I'm releasing the Christians and pro-life activists who were persecuted by the Biden regime for praying and living out their faith. I just signed that document, and they're being released. One such American was Paula Harlow. At 75 years old, Paula was sentenced to 2 years in prison after praying outside of a clinic. That's why she was sentenced to 2 years. That's what happened under the Biden regime. In her sentencing, the judge mocked her Christian faith while her husband pleaded to be thrown in jail with his wife, fearing she would die alone behind bars. This week, it was my honor to grant a full and complete pardon to Paula and many others who were the victims of this horrific weaponization. Never again will religious persecution be allowed to happen in America. To all of the very special people marching today in this bitter cold, I know your hearts are warm and your spirits are strong because your mission is just very, very pure, to forge a society that welcomes and protects every child as a beautiful gift from the hand of our Creator. Thank you for never losing hope and never giving up. Thank you for your tremendous support. God bless you and God bless America.
刚刚川普总统啊，他说他宣布要释放的一些过去被拜登政府执政期间抓的反堕胎人士呢，其中他特别的提到一个名为 Paula Harlow 的女士哈。这个女士 Paula Harlow 啊， 在2024年哦，她已经是一个75岁的老太太了，年纪这么大哦，犯法哈，被关哈。我们来看看哦，奇不奇怪？她是因为2020年啊参加了一次这个支持生命权、反对堕胎的活动。那他是在马赛诸塞州，那他特别跑到了马赛诸塞州的一家所谓的生殖保健服务诊所。其实简单讲在美国这种生殖保健服务其实只是一个好听的名称，讲白了就是堕胎诊所，就是说我专门提供堕胎的，甚至他连接生都不接生，就是指专门提供堕胎服务的。那为什么这老奶奶要这么激动呢？你看那么多这种医院医生也有这种堕胎服务嘛，他们就发现说这个堕胎的诊所呢，在帮孕妇实施所谓的晚期堕胎，那就很可怕了。那晚期堕胎就是说，已经是胎儿相当程度的成型的时候呢，我们都知道，在台湾的话，一般就是6个月以上，你是不可以再进行所谓的堕胎了。那 Paula Harlow 呢，他呢就是去阻止这种晚期堕胎。第一个，他被控的是违反的所谓诊所入口自由法，因为他跟其他实名制者呢强行进入这个诊所。那我坦白说，这个强行进入诊所这个破坏了别人的公务这个当然是违法行为。只是说该不该用这个诊所入口自由法 face 这个来决定呢？那这个是有争议的。这主要有争议的一个主要原因在于是说，当初这个是柯林顿总统的时候所立的，是为了保护身患疾病的患者能够及时接受医疗服务的权利，而不因入口的拥堵呢而丧失了抢救生命的宝贵时机。很多人就认为说，这个堕胎诊所它提供的不是任何意义上的生育健康医疗服务，更不是抢救生命，就是我们讲的就是杀婴嘛所以是不是应该被排除在这种所谓真正诊所的名单之外呢？但无论如何在拜登执政的那个时候呢，那仍然是以这条法律呢把他们给一起判刑然后就入狱那他为什么这么激动呢？因为他就曾经在生活杂志上看到了一个18周大的这个胎儿的照片之后，他就成为了一个生命权的支持者那我们可以看到18周胎儿大基本上已经差不多是这样了哇，那可以说是相当程度的成型了OK， 那她自己呢是一个天主教徒然后呢她的丈夫呢这个法律的现状感到痛心疾首她也告诉法官说，如果可以的话，她愿意为他进监狱但是呢，很特别的是什么很特别的就是呢，哈洛告诉媒体说，他认为是一项令人难以置信的荣誉，他认为上法庭也是一种莫大的荣誉。那他觉得不是每个人都有这样的机会所以呢，他自己认为说他是为了拯救生命，可以说义举OK， 欢迎你把你的留言跟想法放在下面。但是 anyway， 就是川普在这次当选之后呢，立刻做出了决定，就要释放当初就包含这10个在这个反堕胎诊所的这个事件呢被逮捕的这些人民这边科普一下给大家。
Let me say thank you. Good afternoon, marchers. Thank you for having me. And it is an honor to be standing with you here today for life. We are proud to march with you. And yes, we will be back next year. The excitement, the passion, the unwavering conviction that every single person here on the National Mall clearly feels. It is deeply moving to me and means more to President Trump and I than I could possibly say. For over a half century, this march has united tens of thousands of Americans from all walks of life to rally for the cause of life in our nation. It is the single largest gathering in the world to celebrate our movement, the victories we've fought so hard for, and yes, the victories yet to come. And I want to personally welcome all of you who have traveled from far and wide to our nation's capital. Thank you for your dedication, and it is an incredible crowd, and it's great to see you today. You know, on Monday, we were forced to move all of the inauguration events indoors because of the bitter cold, and it was cold. But you guys, and it's cold today, here you are outside in an especially frigid January. And I don't think I've ever seen such a joyful crowd out here, particularly during this time of year. Now, as you all know, the event theme this year is life, why we march. And there are obvious answers to the implicit question it poses. We march to protect the unborn. We march to proclaim and live out the sacred truth that every single child is a miracle and a gift from God. Now, each time Usha and I welcomed our own children into the world, we saw firsthand the indescribable beauty of new life, and yes, as you can see, sometimes the behavioral challenges that we had on Monday, but they were good. They were good. And watching all three of our kids grow, learn, and become who they are today has been the single greatest blessing of our lives. Now, every parent here knows that feeling, that awe at a newborn child. It is our responsibility to cherish and to protect it. But thinking about the question of why we march, there are also some subtler, but equally more important answers to that question that I want to reflect on today. Now, the task of our movement is to protect innocent life. It's to defend the unborn, and it's also to be pro-family and pro-life in the fullest sense of that word possible. Now, across my own lifetime, I can't tell you the number of friends and other acquaintances I've had who, facing a pregnancy or the prospect of one, react not with joy but with concern. They wonder, how can they afford it? What will it mean for their education, their career, their relationship, or their family? And I know how many of you in this crowd have devoted immeasurable time and resources to help answer those questions and to lend a hand to young people facing a moment of desperation. But by and large, our society, our country, has not yet stepped up in the way you have. And our government certainly has failed in that important responsibility. We failed a generation not only by permitting a culture of abortion on demand, but also by neglecting to help young parents achieve the ingredients they need to live a happy and meaningful life. A culture of radical individualism took root, one where the responsibilities and joys of family life were seen as obstacles to overcome, not as personal fulfillment or personal blessings. Our society has failed to recognize the obligation that one generation has to another is a core part of living in a society to begin with. So let me say very simply, I want more babies in the United States of America. I want more happy children in our country. And I want beautiful young men and women who are eager to welcome them into the world and eager to raise them. And it is the task of our government to make it easier for young moms and dads to afford to have kids, to bring them into the world, and to welcome them as the blessings that we know they are here at the March for Life. Now, it should be easier to raise a family, easier to find a good job, easier to build a home, to raise that family in, easier to save up and purchase a good stroller, a crib for a nursery. We need a culture that celebrates life at all stages, one that recognizes and truly believes that the benchmark of national success is not our GDP number or our stock market, but whether people feel that they can raise thriving and healthy families in our country. And that brings me back to where we stand today. Earlier this week, President Donald J. Trump stood in the Capitol Rotunda and took the oath of office, becoming not just the 45th, but now the 47th President of the United States, and I know all of you helped. With the inauguration on Monday, our country faces the return of the most pro-family, most pro-life American president of our lifetimes. Now, this is the man who delivered on his promise of ending Roe, giving us a monumental, earth-shattering decision in Dobbs. The man who appointed hundreds of pro-life judges dedicated to defending the constitutional liberties of all Americans. And the man who supported pro-family policies like doubling the child tax credit, which happened during his first administration and which we're going to do so much more on in the second administration. Now he's back, and we're going to do it again. Now, yesterday, President Trump issued a strong endorsement of the Born Alive Abortion Act, ensuring that those babies who survived botched abortions enjoy the equal protection under law, which is the obligation of every citizen to enjoy in this country. With his return to office, no longer will the federal government direct FBI raids on the homes of people like Mark Houck and other Catholic and Christian activists who are fighting for the unborn every single day. And no longer will our government throw pro-life protesters and activists, elderly, grandparents, or anybody else in prison. It stopped on Monday, and we're not going to let it come back to this country. Instead, and I know you all saw the news, the 47th president has already issued pardons to those unjustly imprisoned. And I want to be clear that this administration stands by you, we stand with you, and most importantly, we stand with the most vulnerable and the basic principle that people exercising the right to protest on behalf of the most vulnerable should never have the government go after them ever again. Now, the crowd assembled here in this incredible national mall provides an extraordinary example for our nation. You donate to diaper banks, you help find housing for those in need, you help fund the crisis pregnancy centers that give help to young women and young men in a time of crisis. You guys are the beating heart of the pro-life movement, and you have saved many lives already, and you're going to save more again. You being here this very March is a reminder of the incredible strength and unity of the pro-life movement. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for marching here today. And most importantly, in your works, you remind us that the March for Life is not just a single event that happens on a frigid January day. The March for Life is the work of the pro-life movement every single day from this point forward. Now, it is a lifelong call to action, a moment in time. But every single day that you guys do what you do, from supporting young moms and dads, to fighting for the unborn, to working with our legislatures at the state and federal level, you make it possible for us to stand here and say that America is fundamentally a pro-baby, a pro-life, and a pro-family country. Now, I hesitate to give you all advice because I can see there are young and old people who have been in the pro-life movement, some of you for longer than I've even been alive, and I'm grateful to you. But if I can offer one piece of advice, it's a piece of advice born out of my own experience. There was a point when I would get frustrated with people who didn't see what we saw. I would get frustrated that people could look at a picture of a baby on an ultrasound and see not a human being, but just a clump of cells. But one of the things that being a father has taught me, and one of the things that being in politics has taught me over the last couple of years, is that it is a blessing to know the truth, and the truth is that unborn life is worthy of protection. So please go forth, not with frustration, but with joy. We are joyful to march for life. We are joyful to know that that picture on an ultrasound, that is a picture of a baby with hopes and dreams and potential to come. It is a joy and a blessing to fight for the unborn, to work for the unborn, and to march for life. God bless you all, and thank you for having me. It's an honor to be with you.
Good morning or afternoon. We're so glad that you've joined us here in Washington, D.C. Thank you for making the trip. It really is a great encouragement to all of us to see all of you, so many pro-life Americans here to stand and march for the sanctity of human life. I stand here with these colleagues of mine, these leaders for life, and it means so much to us to see all of you. For 52 years, this event has united millions of pro-life Americans just like us for the common purpose that we believe that every child has the right to life. For 2 decades, before I was elected to Congress, I served as a constitutional law attorney, and I litigated cases to defend our fundamental freedoms like religious liberty and the sanctity of human life. And now in this role that I have as Speaker of the House, I'm working to defend those freedoms in a different way. And the good news is there are many leaders here in Congress, just like the ones standing behind us here, who are committed to doing that same thing. And of course, my friends, it is a new golden age in America, and now we have President Donald J. Trump back in the White House. We are entering a new era. That's right. And with Vice President J.D. Vance, they have already... That's right. This new White House has already shown its resolve. It's one of his first official acts. President Trump just freed and pardoned nearly 24 wrongfully imprisoned pro-life activists. And I don't know if you saw his executive order on gender, but it defines life as beginning at conception rather than birth. And in Congress just yesterday, the House passed the Born Alive Survivors Protection Act. It is a matter, that's right, it's a matter of basic humanity to ensure that a child who survives an abortion attempt should be cared for as he or she is lying on the table gasping for breath. But I am so sad to tell you that only one House Democrat joined us in voting for that bill. It's incredible, really, but it demonstrates just how important events like this today are. My friends, House and Senate Republicans are committed to protecting innocent life. We will do it. As we near the 250th anniversary of our great nation, we remember that at the heart of our grand experiment in self-governance is the recognition of the right to life, as Leader Thune just said. America is premised on the self-evident truth that every single person is made in the image of our Creator, God. And thus, every single person has inestimable dignity and value. And your value is not related in any way to the color of your skin or what zip code you live in or what you do for a living. Your value is inherent, that is given to you by God. Well, that's right. What we need today is a new generation of leaders and activists like William Wilberforce and Frederick Douglass, men and women who will courageously use their voices to defend others. You, my friends, are part of that generation, and together we are rebuilding a culture of life, and it begins now. By sharing your time and influence, by volunteering to assist pregnancy resource centers, all the very practical ways that we can assist, using our voices, using our influence, it's going to make a difference. I'll close with this. I was born in January 1972. It was almost exactly 1 year before Roe v. Wade became the law of the land. I was the product of an unplanned teen pregnancy, and I am so eternally grateful that my mom and dad ignored all the people who told them to just take care of that problem, and they chose to embrace life and to have me, the first of their 4 children. If they... It's a simple fact, a very simple fact. If they had not done that, then I would not be here, and I often wonder who else we have missed and what those individuals might have contributed to our society and our world, but they were just never given the opportunity. I often wonder when we as a nation will face that reality and turn our hearts back to the self-evident truths that we boldly proclaimed in our nation's birth certificate in 1776, as was said earlier, that all people are created equal and that all people are endowed by our Creator with the right to life. Let's keep working to ensure that more eyes are opened, that more people will embrace those timeless truths, and that all children will be allowed the incomparable gift of being born. Thank you for being part of this movement and this noble cause. God bless this march, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.